Going to court is one of the most serious things in our society. The legal system is no joke, and oftentimes the courtroom deals with important and weighty decisions that can determine the fate of an accused party, whether that be a fine, prison time, or even death. It's definitely not a place where you would expect silly shenanigans and goofy antics to be present, yet that is exactly what happened a few weeks ago on December 11th when NBA superstar Ja Morant went on trial for allegedly assaulting a 17-year-old high school basketball player named Joshua Holloway, all the way back in the summer of 2022. This court hearing had everything one could want from a ridiculous trial. Both parties brought basketballs to the court. The prosecutor asked silly questions and even showed a highlight reel of Morant dunking on people to the judge as evidence. Morant and his lawyers demonstrated how to check a ball in a pickup game. The prosecutor asked Morant to punch her. But before we can get into all of these insane moments, we have to get caught up to speed on the situation that landed these two parties in court in the first place. On July 26, 2022, Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant was playing some pickup basketball at his house against a high schooler, Joshua Holloway. According to the statements by eyewitnesses, which included Ja's dad, T. Morant, his best friend, Devontae Pack, and former Grizzlies player and Ja Morant's trainer, Mike Miller, Ja had won a few games against the 17-year-old, and it was starting to frustrate Holloway. Apparently, one time when Holloway was checking the ball with Morant, as one does in a pickup game, out of frustration, Holloway chucked a one-handed bullet pass straight to Morant's face. In retaliation, Ja approached the teen and the two went chest to chest before Holloway apparently chest bumped Morant and pulled up his shorts. Now, according to Ja, and to be fair, I have seen this on occasion too, pulling up one's shorts as a sort of indication of a fighting position, Ja claimed that he perceived the action as a preparation to square up and throw hands, which prompted him to punch the teen on the chin. Following that hit, Morant's friend Devontae Pack struck Holloway on the back of his head and sent him to the floor, before other spectators rushed in to break up the scuffle. Witnesses claimed that while being escorted off the premises, Joshua threatened to come back later and, quote, light this place up like fireworks, end quote. Seeing as the 4th of July had already passed at that point, it was pretty safe to assume that he did not mean he was going to go set off a firework display at the Morant residence. Holloway never returned and made good on that promise, which is a good thing, but he did file a suit against Ja for a variety of things, the most significant of which was assault. In response, Ja filed a countersuit for slander, battery, and assault. The trial for that incident finally took place the week of December 11th, and that brings us to the trial itself. The main argument of Morant's defense team was that Ja was protected under the state's standard ground law, which allows someone to act with force if they feel threatened on their property. Looking at the standard ground laws in Tennessee, we can see that it does indeed permit a person to use force against someone that they perceive as a threat to their safety, although it appears that the person using the force under this context must have reason to believe that they are in danger of death or serious bodily harm. I think we can all reasonably determine that a basketball is not a super dangerous or lethal weapon that Morant perceived as capable of causing serious damage or death to him. However, that would explain why he doesn't outright say that when asked by the prosecution in this clip.
That when Joshua threw you the ball, he was using it as a weapon against you.
Yes.
Lethal weapon?
It hurt
Okay.
and caused damage.
Okay.
Rather, Morant just simply acknowledges that the ball hurt and caused damage, because he knows that we know that he knows that the basketball was not a violent or deadly weapon, but he apparently needs to be under the assumption that it could have caused his body serious harm if his defense team is going to properly use the standard ground laws in Tennessee in order to get the case dismissed. And if we go back to the actual law itself and look a little lower, we can see that if someone acts in self-defense from an honest belief as to the extent of danger will not be held criminally liable for threatening or using force against another. Now, pay real close attention here. Even if the person using force is mistaken as to the extent of actual danger based on that person's perception of the circumstances, that means that Morant's team doesn't have to prove that a basketball is a deadly weapon and that a 17-year-old boy could have caused serious bodily harm to Morant. They just simply have to convince the court that Morant believed a basketball was a deadly weapon and that a 17-year-old Holloway could have caused them serious bodily harm. Now you can start to see the reason why it's sort of difficult to come to any kind of determination on this case, because it's hard to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Morant didn't actually see Holloway or the ball as a serious threat to his safety. After all, how do you 100% know someone's own inner thoughts and perceptions, let alone prove undoubtedly those thoughts and perceptions to a court of law? And don't get me wrong, we all know that there is a 99.9999% chance that Morant is just BSing here and claiming that he perceived a massive threat to his health in order to be protected under the state's standard ground laws, which is just completely ridiculous that a full-grown man is arguing that a basketball and a teenager pulling up his shorts were serious threats to his well-being. But believe it or not, that doesn't even come close to all the silly and crazy stuff that went on in this courtroom. Now that we're all caught up with the context surrounding this wild case, let's take a look at what exactly went down during the trial. According to NBA Central, Holloway's attorney, Rebecca Adelman, used clips of Ja Morant dunking and used this photo from a viral play where Morant almost jumped over former Cavs forward Kevin Love to show the judge and the court the kind of force that came at Mr. Holloway. Now, this might be a first in the legal system, showing someone's highlight reel in court to demonstrate how much force they were using when playing basketball. I have to imagine that there were some people in the audience laughing when Adelman legitimately used highlight dunks from an NBA player as actual evidence in a courtroom. But the madness did not stop there, as both legal teams brought basketballs to the court to demonstrate how to check a ball in a pickup game. Bro, as a basketball fan, this maybe is one of the court cases that I wouldn't have minded sitting through. I mean, watching highlight dunks, seeing Morant and his lawyers passing a basketball back and forth to demonstrate a check, I think you can see how this case is starting to leave serious trial about a 17-year-old being assaulted and rapidly approaching goofy court case that you would see in a cartoon like SpongeBob.
Racked with pain, can't move. But what about Mr. Krabs' case? Looks like you're gonna have to handle this one, son.
Another silly thing that happened here was the prosecutor asked Ja if the diamonds he was wearing were real, to which Morant, a superstar basketball player who makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year, obviously replied, yes. I know she was trying to get at the point that Morant was rich enough to pay or financially influence the witnesses who were at the incident, and that was the reason why they were corroborating his version of events. But like, dude, Morant is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Of course his jewelry is going to have real diamonds. So far, the stuff we talked about has definitely been goofy, but what comes next is actually insane. Holloway's attorney was standing face to face with Ja, asking him to recreate the order of events that led up to the assault. And when it came to the part where Holloway and Ja approached each other, the attorney asked Morant to punch her in the face. I'm not even exaggerating. Take a look for yourself.
Punch me. Well, show me how to punch. You punched him. No, you need to show me how you punched him.
Bro, I know she probably meant for him to show her an example of how he punched Holloway, but you would think that she would at least phrase it differently, like, show me how you punched my client, or now please demonstrate how you struck Mr. Holloway. Not just straight up saying, punch me. Like, what are you doing? I love how Ja just stared at her and said no. Like, I'm sure if I was him in this situation, which I would never be because I don't assault teenagers at my house, but if I was Ja, I would be so confused confused as to why this woman seemingly wants me to strike her in the face in front of the judge. I don't know about you all, but I think that this is the first time I have ever heard a lawyer ask the defendant to punch them. That was a legendary moment for sure. Even though the trial went on for a few more days and reconvened on the 20th, nothing too ridiculous happened after that first day. So I guess that's a good thing that this serious trial actually started to feel like it was taking place inside of a serious courtroom and not a bad reality TV show. Despite the nonsense that happened in this court case, there are plenty of other goofy ones that come to my mind in recent memory, namely the Young Thug one. So if you guys want to see a video on any more wacky court hearings, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe and show this video tons of support. If it does well enough, then I suppose I could make another video covering a different silly trial in the future. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all on the next one. Have a great day.